Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is the Black Manga Critic here. We are here just, streaming. Um, we gotta handle this. We gotta handle this because I think some people out here, um, they go into a place that I think like is very much so like it comes from like a place of like I don't even want to say anger or whatever. I don't even say that. Like just I don't know how to describe it, but it's like it's not a good place. It's not a good place. Okay. And the title, obviously, the title is like talking about, the Hunter slander and all that and what's going on with that. And like certain people, just people who are they just doing too much. They doing too much. Um, and it's a little weird because it's like there's some people that I don't expect it from. And I'm like, whoa, 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 where's that coming from? So I'm just thinking about that. You know what I mean? And I think for me, one thing I try not to do now. I don't respond to like tweets and stuff like that if I don't have to. If I don't have to do that, I'm not doing that. One, because it takes too much energy. Like responding to tweets on just like takes way too much energy. You gotta wait for the person to respond to your tweet. You gotta sit there. You could be doing something else. You could be making a sandwich. You could be drinking some tea. You could be talking to somebody else face to face. You could be streaming. You could be doing anything else other than sitting there waiting for tweets to come back to you and waiting for somebody to respond to those tweets and all this other nonsense and just putting this like certain type of energy. Like it's just I don't respond to tweets like that. I'm not looking for like the super long conversation that'll turn into a thread. I can't. I just like I don't have the energy to do it. Right? Or it's not so much that I don't have the energy to do it. I just don't want to spend my energy doing that. I don't. So if it comes to like certain like someone saying something about Hunter on Twitter, I ain't even gonna touch it. I'm not gonna touch a tweet. I'm not gonna do nothing. I'm gonna leave it alone for the most part. But I do have my channel, so I can go onto my channel and I can be like, whoa, 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 whoa. What are we doing? Right? There's a certain way in that where I think you can talk about Hunter and be like, something here is off, or I don't even want to say objective because I think again, I'm not really like a believer in like certain types of like objective criticism or people that sort of like push their certain types of criticism as objective. And I'm like, no, it's not. Stop it. You're lying to yourself. You trying real hard. No. Okay. You can make objective observations about a manga. You can make objective observations, about Hunter. Like, oh, there isn't any art in this particular panel, or there are fewer words in this panel than that panel. Yes, objective observations. For the most part, right? Within like the realm of how we view like words and blah, blah, blah and things, right? How we define certain things, right? Yeah, you could do that. But people go to these like weird places like, well, Tagashi had this page and it had maybe like a couple of pictures on it. And the rest of the panels were filled with words. That's not manga. That's not manga, right? And they're just like, that's not manga. That's not how manga works. Manga has never looked like that. Generally, it doesn't look like that, so it's not manga. That's not how we do things over here when it comes to manga. Most of these people aren't even mangaka. They have never written a manga. They've never written a comic book. They have never made the attempt. But most of these people are out here doing the most. And it's not to say that you cannot be critical or you cannot make observations because you haven't done that. But what I'm saying is you cannot be critical in a certain, and it would not even be critical. Like, not that you can't be critical, but you cannot slander a mangaka for writing the manga in a way that they deem they want to write it. That's like when you say like, and then say that's trash, that's disgraceful in a certain way. You cannot do that. What you can do is you can say, hey, I'm focused on, let's say, this particular segment of the manga and a certain like certain tropes that have been utilized, and I'm saying this is an issue because there's a history of how this particular trope affects the readership, and what it says about, you know, and what kind of ideas it perpetuates, and how those ideas that are perpetuated like affect readers and things of that nature, right? You can do that. That's a different kind of work that you're doing, right? There's a specificity there. But when you're just like, nah, this isn't manga. Manga has to have pictures, and right, and it has to have a certain amount of pictures and a certain number of words within certain spaces. What are you talking about? Why are you boxing in? Like, why are you trying to make this weird box? Right? Why are you trying to make this weird box for manga? What are you doing? What are you doing? Tagashi's got to write. Right? Tagashi can't write them. Like, can't write words in his manga, and omit drawings in certain panels because you've talked to Tagashi. You know that he's lazy. You know that. No, you don't. You don't know that. You don't know that. You know what I mean? And I think this is coming from like just like, again, this is certain places of like people feel hurt, people feel a certain way, right? They feel a type of way, right? And you can be upset, you can feel a certain way, right? You can have feelings, but when you go out and you're just sort of saying like, oh well, this mangaka is just like lazy. They doo-doo because they're writing the manga from a sort of constructive point, right? I'm not even talking about like the content. I'm not even talking about the content necessarily, right? I'm talking about like in sense of like the story, the plot, the narrative, stuff like that. I'm just simply talking about like the construction of it from a sort of like aesthetic kind of viewpoint in what you generally and what's on the page, right? For you to be like, I read some of these chapters, and I've deemed Tagashi to be a lazy mangaka. I'm like, bruh, do you not understand how hard mangaka work generally? Do you not understand that mangaka both draw and write their stories? Do you know how many authors are out there? How many writers are out there doing both at that level? Mangakas are a group of people creatives that are like, I'm always blown away. Don't matter who you are, I'm always blown away because of what you cannot forget is the amount of physical work, right? The amount of physical effort that is put into that, the amount of mental effort it takes to from week to week, even with a group, even with assistance, week to week. Some of y'all just like you be throwing that in the garbage when it comes to certain writers, but when it comes to other writers, you're like, oh, they just working so hard. They just working so hard. I'm like, all mangakas work. All mangakas like who are publishing work week to week work hard. They just do. Okay, if you are a mangaka and you're in Weekly Shonen Jump, you work hard. You work hard. You do. You do. You put in a lot of effort. The assistants put in a lot of effort. The editors put in a lot of effort. You know how like just like the absurd, it's just absurd. Like just to think about it, the levels of like energy that you have to have, the levels of work that it takes. It's absurd. You know what I mean? I'm like, bruh. Talking about Tagashi is lazy? What? Have you had a conversation with the dude? Do you know what's going on in his life at all? No. But you go out here, you people go out here and you make these nonsensical points. And you just wholeheartedly believe that based off of like breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs. That's what you take. You're taking breadcrumbs and you're like, all right, I'm gonna take this breadcrumbs and I'm gonna construct a house. That's what you're doing out of breadcrumbs. You know what I mean? There's a lot of nonsense that's sort of going on here. A lot of nonsense. All right. And I think I get some people, because I think some people are just upset. They're just like, they're annoyed, they're angry. You know what I mean? I get it. They're annoyed, they're upset, they're angry. This is fine. I get it. But some people, you gotta, nah. No. You cannot come at a particular manga talking about they're lazy. And you have absolutely no type of relationship with that person. You have no idea what their day-to-day looks like. But you saw some manga chapters and you were like, oh, this clearly this person is lazy. Like, do you know how difficult it is to write a story, period? To put in the work, to think about the narrative point, the plot points, to make those connections that are related to a whole history, a whole just ongoing bunch of narrative threads. You know how difficult that is to maintain that? To maintain the connections? And I'm talking about the stuff that Tagashi's doing. If you were to actually look at the structure of Hunter x Hunter as it stands at this point, as where it is, no. Do you know how difficult it is to write that? That's hard. That's hard. And to put it together and to make it fit and to make it interesting to hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people, that is hard. And people are like, yo, but where the pictures at? They lazy, man. Takashi just lazy. There's no pictures. I don't understand. Where are the pictures? He lazy, man. He can't even draw some pictures. I'm like, man, stop. Some of y'all are just embarrassing yourselves when it comes to that, right? Okay? No. It's absurd, man. It's absurd. You know what I mean? What are we doing? You know? It doesn't make any sense. And I think, like, again, I kind of understand where that comes from. Like, for me, if I say, like, I make like a particular point about, let's say, like another manga or something like that, and I'm like, I'm not really feeling that or whatever, you know, then I'm not feeling that. That doesn't mean that the thing is like objectively garbage or that other people shouldn't like this thing or whatever. It's just, I'm not feeling it. But if I go to a certain place and I'm like, here's something that I don't particularly think was done well, and here are the points as to why that I don't think that narrative, you know, plot, like though that plot line or whatever was done well, or I feel like this character needs to be more fleshed out or whatever for a particular plot point to have a certain type of like substance or whatever. You know what I mean? In a sense, you know, or for it to make sense or whatever. Like, there are things that, and even those points can be criticized, right? Those points aren't like solid. They're not just like, yo, this is definitely right. This is it. You know, that's not true. You know what I mean? So, but I think like when we get to a place where we're like, you know what, this manga lazy, they're not trying. You know what I mean? I don't know what Tagashi's life looks like. I have no idea. None. You know? It's like, have we seen the dark content and stuff that we gotten so far? Did we see all the stuff that he worked on when it came to that? The character designs, come on, son. People just like, you know, they want to pick something out. And that's the kind of thing, right? Like, the cherry picking kind of bugs me, right? Whenever I critique One Piece and I talk about things that I don't like about One Piece, right? I always make sure to mention that, like, I do love One Piece. I will pretty much continue to read One Piece. I'm going to see it through to the end, but I'm going to read it the way I want to read it. I'm going to take breaks when I feel like I'm going to take breaks, right? But I will never, like, you will never hear me say that early One Piece is hot garbage. You never hear me say that because I don't believe that. I think early One Piece is like some of the best stuff ever written, period. right? I'm not gonna say it's the best I've ever written, period, but I'm gonna say like it's definitely up there. It's just woo heat. Okay. I just think the more recent stuff, for me, it's not up to par. There's some things that I feel like could be worked on a bit more. I mean, that's how I feel about it. You know what I mean? And there are people that, you know, I will talk to and they'll change my mind about certain things. You know, there's certain things where I'm just going to be like, nah, like Oda cannot, like Oda has like an issue when it comes to drawing women. He's got to improve on that. Like more recently, right? More recently, he's got to improve on that. Like he's got to deal with that, right? But that's just me when I'm talking about One Piece. You know what I mean? But I understand that like not all of my points are you know, solid and not, you know, and right and can't be like, you know, attacked or whatever. Of course they can. Of course they can. People do that all the time, you know? And like my ideas about certain things will change based on the things that I'm introduced to, you know? But I think when we talk about Hunter x Hunter, it's like, you got to talk about, like, if you're going to be really critiquing this manga, you got to talk about, excuse me, you got to talk about the narrative, the characters, the storyline as it's going on. What are you, like, what are we, you know, what do we think about that? Is it good? Is it cool? Is it interesting? Is it keeping you entertained? Is it do you think there are things that are really well done? Do you think there are things that are kind of off and maybe they could be better explained, or maybe something doesn't fit? And you know what I mean? What do you think about that stuff? When somebody's coming out and when these people come out, and it's not just like, you know, a few people, it's like a lot of people, and then they come out and they're just like, Togashi lazy, man. Look at all these panels without art in it. I'm like, bruh. Like, it ain't the one that's not that serious, because where the story is right now, there are plenty of moments, right? There are plenty of moments where we've seen Togashi do something like the last chapter. That was beautiful. It was brilliantly done. Brilliantly done. You know, and it was fantastic. And I loved it. This chapter, I liked. It did what it needed to do. I wouldn't say it was like, this is an amazing chapter. This is phenomenal, right? But what I think it did was that, again, it's very much so a chapter that is emblematic of what Hunter x Hunter is right now. Post Nen, this is it. And in this space, this is almost sort of like, I'm not gonna say Hunter x Hunter has to have like fewer like art panels or anything like that. I'm not gonna say that. But what I will say is that, like, at least to me, it's important that I know that these characters think, and that they are not just like cardboard cutouts, you know, or whatever, that they have motives, that they think about things, that they make particular decisions that affect how the narrative, you know, sort of is told, and it affects how the plot moves forward, how the plot is driven forward. Like, bruh, this latest chapter did that, but people were like, man, look at all of the words. Like, you got to understand how you come off as when you sort of stick to it like that. If you were to say, oh, some of, like, I'm looking at the words and some of the stuff wasn't necessary because we already knew about this stuff and blah, blah, blah. There were things that I could understand there, right? But when people are just like text and no images, I'm like, that's so ridiculous. Like, really? That's what you're complaining about? Like, and it's not even that you can't even complain about it. It's that, like, you've taken it to Togashi's lazy because that's what he's doing. I'm like, again, mangaka, I don't think mangaka are lazy. I'm not saying like lazy mangaka don't exist necessarily, right? But I think that, like, when you hit this sort of level, it is like, bruh. And what I've said is, like, people, like, mangaka should have longer breaks. They should have so many breaks. They should be able to, like, say like, I'm gonna write for a month and then take a month off, and then write for a month and then take a month off. Like, they should be able to, like, just be like, all right, I'm gonna do this work for like, you know, a month, and then the next month I'm gonna have off to just like do research, look into things for what I want to write next, prepare, rest. That's how I feel about it. I feel like that part of the industry needs a drastic improvement. It needs a like not a complete overhaul, but a drastic overhaul. It needs it. It needs it dearly, dearly. That's how I feel about that. But people like they get so used to content coming out in a particular way, and they assume that people are just like, yeah, this is fine. This is what it is. Like, you know, we don't want breaks. We don't need breaks. I'm like, maybe there are manga that are like that, right? And they and that's what they want to do. But I think again, like time and time again, we see the effects of this just like just ridiculous like schedule that we have manga on. I don't need, and I don't think people should expect manga to come out with these chapters, with these quality chapters week to week and working on it week to week. I'm like, yo, chill. All right. I really, really, truly believe that they should have way more breaks, way longer breaks. Okay. When it comes to writing this stuff, Oda should have a month to work on something and then have a month off. You know what I mean? Period. You know, and sometimes like I feel like you can tell when one, it's not even necessarily laziness if something is clearly dramatically shifted. It's like they tired. They work extremely hard, right? People don't want to put it there. They don't want to go and say, oh, the manga is working hard, so maybe this is a reason why a certain thing A is happening, right? They want to go, oh, this person is lazy. That's why these things aren't happening, which is trash, which is just like garbage to me. And it's just like, again, it's the inability of people to empathize with other people. That's how I feel about it. Oftentimes, people have zero ability in certain situations to empathize with other people. It's amazing to me that so many fans of these manga have zero ability to empathize with the writers in a way, right? In a certain way, right? Because you write like to literally think like, hey, like, if I'm a manga and I'm writing this series week to week and I've had health problems and I have a family and I want to do other things and I want to live my life in a certain way, maybe this is something that might happen. Maybe I'll take a break because I have the ability to do that. I'm like, whenever Tagashi goes on a hiatus, I'm like, good for you, man. You know, it's like, of course I'm gonna miss like chapters, but for me, I'm like, I'm gonna go read other manga, right? If Hunter x Hunter is not here because Tagashi is going and doing stuff and he's probably doing research and he's probably spending time with his family and he's probably reading whatever he wants to read and playing games or whatever he wants to do. Let him do that. If he wants to take a vacation and travel, he's a person. He has the right to do that. He has the right to do that. So let him do that. Some of y'all would love nothing more than Tagashi and Oda to chill in a room and write this stuff week to week until they collapsed. And then they go to the hospital and you be like, oh man, you know, I feel so bad. But you would go week to week, but like, why you gotta go on break? Man, why you gotta take a 2-week break? Oda, no. Tagashi, nah. Months away, months to recover, months to rejuvenate your body, months to spend time with your family, months to do all those things. Nah. You don't deserve that. You know what I mean? Facts, right? Mike, Tagashi could just not do anything. He could just chill. He doesn't have to write this manga at all. He doesn't have to do that. But he does. Why? Because he loves this stuff. People are like, oh, he should get somebody to do this other work for him. That, like, again, I've said this in other streams. It is such a disrespectful way, like, to approach it. To approach a creative and to say, you know what? You should have other people do your creative work for you. What? That's like absurd. It's absurd. It's disrespectful. It's just flat out stupid. You gonna tell a writer, yo, you know what? Like a writer, you gonna tell a writer, yo, go to go have somebody else write your story for you. You gonna go tell Toni Morrison, yo, you know what? Why don't you go have Zadie Smith write your story for you? What? Really? You gonna go tell an artist, yo, go have somebody create this painting for you? You gonna go tell a poet, go have somebody write this poem for you, and then put your name on it and send it out there? What? It's absurd, man. And it's like people keep saying this stuff, but and I'm like, some of these people are creatives that are saying this. They're people who are like, no, you would not allow other people to create music for you and then put your name on that music. You wouldn't do that. Right? Some of you sorely underestimate how important manga is to Togashi and how much he adores this art form. It's just disrespectful, man. And it's like mind-boggling. And again, it's y'all. Some of y'all just lack the empathy. You can't do it. And this is what I'm gonna, I've talked to Dustin about. I'm not saying that Dustin isn't empathetic or anything like that. I'm just like, this is something that Dustin has said in his streams. Like, put on your empathy hat. All right. Put on the empathy hat. Okay. Put yourself in this person's shoes. You gotta think. You gotta think. Too many of y'all don't do that. You don't do that. And I think that's when it gets upsetting to me. When people are just like, he should just let somebody else draw it for him. What? Come on, son. What are you doing? It's really absurd. People, I'm like, it's like, yeah, the animation industry, people expect way too much. They expect certain things, right? In a certain time sort of frame. That's the thing that pisses me off. I can understand saying like, hey, maybe the animation quality has dropped in a certain sense, but like, you always got to ask those questions. Why? What is actually going on? If you don't know what the sort of behind the scenes stuff is about, all you can say is, yes, clearly, like from an objective standpoint, the quality has dropped. Okay. And then you got to stop there. And then the next thing that you got to do is say, okay, is there any way that I can figure out what's happening here, why it's happening, and not just jump to, oh, these people are lazy. That's what happened. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, y'all aren't doing the empathetic work. You're not. So for me, one thing that I think, going on other people's channels and getting in certain conversations, right? Dustin, Brago, stuff like that, is like, again, thinking about how other people view certain things and readjusting my approach and readjusting how I even like discuss things, right? Based on that. You know what I mean? It's just like, come on. One thing I try to do now is like, I try to wait when I hear about certain things, and I try to say, okay, like what's going on? What's happening? Right. When it comes to certain things, you know what I mean? But I think but especially with this, it's like, people don't want to do that. They just want to be like, this person's lazy. How do you even know that? You don't know, but you want to throw out your garbage opinion about a person, right? Be like, oh, that's what it is. Right. It's like, come on, lazy. That's different, right? That's different than saying maybe like, okay, like to like if if there was like let's say like the author of Rurouni Kenshin, I'm like, dude, that dude is like, that dude's legitimately like a pedophile, like that like, bruh, this is like yes, that's what's going on there. Okay, that is clear. These are the facts. We have the evidence. That is clear, right? That's not an opinion. That's like, yo, that's what's going on there, right? Saying that Togashi is lazy, you have no idea. You have no real evidence. You got conjecture, nonsense stuff. Like, nah, son. I think that's when it gets to a place. And I think what bothers me the most is when certain people go to that place, and I'm like, some people, I'm like, you're smarter than that. Like you're smarter than that. Like, I don't understand what's going on there. It's just so disrespectful. And I think people, again, there's a way, and I think it happens with manga especially. I think with comics, I think that happens maybe not less. I think it's happening more because people are reading more digital comics now. But I think people just generally do not understand the amount of work that goes into producing this stuff. And especially on a week-to-week basis, like, yo, huh. You know what I mean? So it's like, no, I'm just kind of like tired of it. It's just like nonsense. A lot of it is very much so nonsense. People are doing too much. They're doing the most. They don't know what they're talking about at all. They really don't. I don't get it. I don't get it. Yeah, you know. You know, so it's just stuff like that. Just kind of bugs me. You know, just bugs me. It's annoying. Come on. You know, just come on. Just stop it. Stop it. Some of y'all doing too much. Yeah, I would be happy with manga coming out in a certain pace. I think for me, like, again, like, some of y'all think that Tagashi could write this stuff every week, and not take breaks, and it would be like as good. And I'm like, no. Like, when you read a book, you know how much effort goes into writing like certain books, right? Where it's clear that like a lot of research has been done. You know how much effort goes into that? Writers take a year or years to write one book. Why? Because oftentimes they have to do research, and they have to look into things, and they have to work on drafts, and they have to go, have those drafts looked at by an editor and multiple editors. Right? And like, it takes a lot of work. But y'all be like, oh man, come on, son. He just got out of bed and pulled this out of his head, and that was it. That's all he did. It was easy work. It was easy work. No. No. You don't get it. You don't get it. All right? Again, put on the empathy hat. Okay? Put it on. Because some of you are coming out here on Twitter with just, it's not even hot takes or anything like that. It's just like you're letting your feelings like do too much, right? In this situation, right? And especially in this situation and what you're doing, right? When you talk about Tagashi is lazy, you're doing too much. You're letting your feelings get in the way of just thinking through and all of that. You know? Yeah, that was like shoddy. That was just disrespectful. It was absurd. And it was surprising to me. I was like, whoa. I was surprised that that's what happened, because I was like, I don't know. I didn't think that would happen. But you know what I mean? It's like, it was very odd. It was really odd. I was legitimately surprised when I saw that. But again, I don't respond. I try not to respond to people on Twitter. I try not to have this whole thing. And then it's just like a certain amount of energy that it takes. I can just make a video, talk about it, and then boom. And that's it. You know what I mean? And I can do that, and I can move. Twitter just takes too much energy. It's a certain way of like having conversations that I'm just not a fan of. You know, and that's just me. I don't know. Yeah. Right. Again, there's a difference between like you being like, you know what, I'm not really feeling this story. I'm not really feeling, these certain characters. I'm not particularly invested or interested or whatever. You know what I mean? I get that. Like, there are definitely like comics that I've read where I'm like, you know what? Like, I finished the first volume, but I don't want to read the second volume. You know what I mean? Same with manga. Same with books. I read a few chapters and I'm like, put it down for now. It's happened to me, definitely. And that's fine. That's fine. All right? When it comes to that, in a general sort of sense, right? And you start reading something, and then eventually like, okay. But when you say that a creative that is clearly putting in like an absurd amount of work for a story that is widely recognized as like phenomenal and well thought out and well researched, and then you talk about, oh, this person's lazy, and then you just choose to ignore all of the other stuff, you choose to be narrow-minded, and then you choose to ignore all of the other things about like their like lives and what's going on, right? Things that you can just know, right? When somebody has a family, that like it's an amazing thing, and they get to do certain things, but it's also work. Like it's work. It's work. Okay? Work. So you cannot go out here talking about, oh, this person's lazy. They're not, you know, they're just not focused on the manga. They're just not doing that thing. I'm like, one, clearly Tagashi's focused on the manga, because the amount of research he's had to do for this Dark Continent stuff, crazy amount of research. Crazy amount of reading. Okay? And note taking and all of that. Clearly. All right? On top of, you know, raising his family, on top of growing with them, on top of living his life and being able to do things and being able to travel and be able to do like, you know what I mean? Again, people like expect manga to act like Mashido from Bakuman. This is what people expect, man. I'm telling you. People are like, yo, if only Tagashi was in a hospital bed trying to draw manga while bleeding out. That's what they want. That's what they want to see. They're like, yo, but he's so dedicated, man. Look at him in his bed. They want it to be Bakuman. I'm like, this is not Bakuman. Bakuman is like, yes, there are some things, but Bakuman is, in a lot of ways, is supposed to be a warning. It's like, bruh, if you doing too much, if you don't take your breaks, if you don't know that you gotta rest, if you don't understand that, you might die. It might really mess you up. You know what I mean? It's just like I can't like, but like I'm just gonna end it on this point. I'm like, and in my review, well, not review, but like in my initial thoughts, live reaction for 388, I was talking about like that's the type of thing where like, one, people have to read more slowly. You gotta read more slowly. You have to. Some people read way too fast, and I can understand like where there are instances where you have to read fast, maybe for like you got to get some type of reading done for an assignment or a job or whatever. That I totally get. I get it. You should cultivate this ability to skim and to parse out certain key bits of information, and just temporarily ignore other bits of information. Like you should cultivate that ability for certain scenarios, right? I get that. But if you were just reading, if you're just sitting down, you're just reading, take your time. If you take your time and you don't feel like you have to finish a manga chapter in 3 minutes or 4 minutes, guarantee you the experience of reading that stuff will be better. But I also understand that, like, yo, some people just don't have a lot of time. And again, that's fine. And if you got to skim. But you should also cultivate the habit of rereading. This is really essential. I had a student in class. I assigned them a book. I assigned them a book to read. And one of the students was like, oh, but mister, I already read this book. I read this book once. And I was like, yeah, we're going to read it again. We're going to read it again. And they were just like, huh? But I already read it. And I was like, yeah, but like, how much do you remember? When we talk about these things, how much are you going to be like, are you going to be able to find certain things on the set page? Are you going to be able to talk about these certain, plot points in a particular, in a very like distinct and fruitful way without reading it again? You know, if you have a photographic memory, hey, all right, cool. We good. Chilling. If you do not, we're going to reread. All right? Rereading is essential. Okay? Again, slow down when you read certain texts. Slow it down. I had to learn that. And once I learned that, it was much easier for me to understand what I was reading, why certain things were important, and to move on. And the reread when I got the chance. Okay? But again, I'm going to end on this really, really important point. Every time I see people tweeting, yo, Tagashi should just have somebody write the story for him. They should just have him write down the stuff. You know, they should have, like, you know, and I'm like, well, yeah, Tagashi has a team and they do certain things, right? And they have typesetters and stuff like that. Like, yeah, of course. Like, yes, there's a squad. Tagashi has a squad. He already has that. But there are certain things that he knows that he will do, because that in essence is a big part of creating that work, of creating a manga, of writing and drawing a manga, right? Tagashi's not going to give somebody else, you know, like the thing, and they're going to write the entire dialogue for him. He's going to write that stuff down himself, and then he's going to be like, all right, here, you got to edit, if you got to do certain things, okay. Right? And then when it comes to the drawing, even like, bruh, if Tagashi wants to draw those things themselves because he has a certain idea of what he wants certain things to look like, then yeah, but yes, let him do that if he can. And I think people, like, in one sense, there are some people who like who have the fear of Tagashi like dying, like clouding their judgment, and then there's the other people who are just like, you know, just absurd, who are like, Tagashi's lazy, and you know, he should let somebody else do it if he doesn't want to do it himself because he's lazy. I'm like, stop telling creatives to have to outsource their work to other people. It's just disrespectful. It's so disrespectful. Some of y'all don't get it. You don't get it. And you have to get it. You have to get it. Yeah, Dr. Stone has a bunch of text within it, and it's dope. Promise Neverland has oftentimes has a bunch of text in it, and it's dope. World Trigger, but World Trigger has a bunch of text in it as well, but it's dope. Yeah, Hunter x Hunter would not be the same if Tagashi didn't draw it. It would not be the same, right? If you told Oda, yo, Oda, go have somebody else draw your stuff, right? Look at Boruto. Boruto is like to me a prime example of what happens when you literally, right, give your work to somebody else and you just kind of like oversee it, and it ain't the same. Boruto has this like its soul is missing, quite literally, right? You can see it. There are people that do like Boruto, and they're like, "Yo, this is cool, and that's fine." And if you like it, it's fine. But very much so, it's very, very clear that something about Boruto like just showcases like what happens when the original writer is not writing the stuff, is not doing the drawing, is not right. And I'm talking about the manga, right? Because for manga, both of those things are important, right? The visual, like the art, and the writing. Those things are essential. You can tell when something's different, right? When you're reading Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball Super manga, it's very clear that it's not drawn by Toriyama. Very clear. It's got a feel that it's just missing. It's too sharp, if I had to like describe it. Like the Dragon Ball Super manga is too sharp. There's a sharpness about it that is like, it throws me off a little bit. You know? Yo, Dribble, you wildin'. That was funny. But yo, people out here doing the most. They really are doing the most. It's too much. is too much. You know? And again, you're not gonna see me get into a whole conversation on Twitter about that because it's just too much energy. Like I it's not too much energy, but like that's not something I'm putting my energy in. I'm not doing it. But again, stop telling creatives to outsource their work to other people. No. It's disrespectful. It really is. Because it assumes that other people can perfectly emulate the work of a creative, which to me is like such a trash way of thinking. I think it's just not good. And it bothers me. Bothers me. Yeah. Oh, like I think One Piece fans they like it's interesting because not all One Piece fans, right? Not all One Piece fans, but I think there are some. There are some, and this is not just One Piece. I feel like also like with My Hero, most right Weekly Shonen Jump stuff, right? Weekly Shonen Jump manga fans, not all of them, but some are just like they're used to like a certain type of output, and once they're used to that, they're like once they don't, and if they don't get that for a certain period of time, they're like, yo, what's going on? Some put on their empathy hats and they're like, oh, yo, the manga might be, this manga might be sick. You might be dealing with some stuff. Hope they're okay. Whenever they come back, they come back. Some people don't do that. They throw the empathy hat in the closet, keep it in there for years at a time. And they're just like, yo, where's the manga with those manga chapters? I don't understand. It's been 3 weeks. Chop, 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 chop. And it's just like, ugh. Just ugh. It makes me feel a kind of way, and I think it makes a lot of other people feel a kind of way. It's just not. It's just disgusting, And I think for me, it's like I just think like again, it's just really disrespectful, and I think people overestimate the like what they're entitled to, and I think a lot of people also those same people underestimate how much work goes into this craft that is writing manga. It's a lot of work. So for me, it's like I think one thing I started right. So for me, one thing I said is I said, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to curb down how much I'm talking about when it, like let's say like One Piece. So I said I'm going to stop reacting to it because all I'd probably be doing is like critiquing it and being like, this is awful, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. And I don't want to do that. Like it's just a lot of like negative energy that I don't want necessarily. Right now, if I like get on One Piece, it's usually like a troll tweet, something like that. Because for me, it's a bit more fun, And I think that people understand that if I'm like throwing out a troll tweet, this is how I feel about this thing. And but there are things that I'm always just going to be like very like sort of critical about, and I'm going to like make sure I'm on, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm always gonna like talk about like sexism in One Piece because like that's a big deal, right? There are just things that I'm gonna talk about, right? When it comes to those things, right? But there are other things where I'm like, I'm not gonna tweet about that every day. Even that stuff, even ordering sexism, like I don't tweet about that every day. I tweet about it often, but like I think I've even curbed that, So and I've even curbed that on this channel. So it's like for me, it's like, all right, I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'm gonna prepare, and I'm gonna talk about it later on. I told you I'm taking a year to just reread One Piece to do that work, and then come back and then be critical about it, and then respond to people, and then talk with people and have those conversations. But for right now, I'm just not very interested in that stuff, and they like it, right? Like, but it's like, how do you question the love? Like, how do you question whether like a manga loves something or loves a series or whatever? That to me is so wild. That to me is so wild. Again, people sorely underestimate the love that manga have for their series. I will say no. I will say this. I feel like Colbert. I do feel like I think like one thing is like I talk to these like people. I like a lot of people that stream. Like I talk to these people like pretty often, and like I've met them, and like they like their love of One Piece is like, whoo, it's yo. I think love is like is an understatement. I would say like when I say certain things and I say like, you know, it's an understatement, like I truly believe that. Like Brago, you know what I mean? Joy Boy, Roger, Dustin, Naya, Cole, Chibi Sawyer, Sage, my friends on Twitter, Ash, King Cocoa Butter, Gabby, Scarlett, you know what I mean? Our friends over at the My Hero podcast, like they love One Piece. Kendra, right? Like they love One Piece. It's like it's in them. It's in them. The list goes on and on and on. It's like they love it. They love it. No. I'm telling you, you have a conversation with them. You have a conversation with them. You go on a Hangouts call with them. You meet them in like I met a lot of them in person. Like they love this thing. It's different. It's like it's had an impact on their lives about how on who they are as people. When something impacts you in that way on that level, nah. You know what I mean? The thing is like I think some things that other people don't understand is like, and now this has just kind of become like a part of sort of a stream where I'm just kind of like defending them, like rightfully so. But it's like they love it. That's what they want to talk about often, you know. So of course it's going to kind of supersede other series that they don't love as much. That's just going to happen, you know. And I think in some ways I also understand that like, yo, you know, you gotta right, like you gotta make if you gotta make money, and you know that the majority of your fan base on your channel will come to you for One Piece content. Of course you're gonna make One Piece content, but at the same time, right, these channels also try to put out content when they can for other series that they like. But these people also have lives. Roger has a life. Brago has a life. Chibi has a life. Naya has a life. Dustin has a life. Sage has a life. Right? Ash, Kendra, Gabby, like my friends, like, you know, through Twitter and like YouTube and all that, like they have lives. You know what I mean? Trent, Master J, BDV, they all have lives. All of them have lives. Okay, and like there's just so much. And so for me, like I know where they're coming from in that regard, right? I think for me, what I do is like I just try to read different things and try to put on the channel and do that. But I'm not nearly as consistent as they are because like I think one, like in some ways, like they love One Piece so much, and that in some ways it's easier because they can just kind of focus on One Piece. I think for me, it's like not only is like, you know, that I have a life, but it's also like I'm trying to like throw all these different things into this channel, and it's like discombobulated. And sometimes you might see a stream from this manga for me, and sometimes you won't. And but I think for me, you know, it's important that like diversity is important, right? Like to show all these different things, that's important for me. It's important for me to be like, yo, check out this manga that I'm reading. Hopefully, you know, you like it. Check out this thing that I'm reading. Hopefully you like it. Check out the thing that I'm reading. Hopefully you like it. It's important. It's important for me. It really is. You know? So I don't know. You know, I think you just gotta in that regard, I think you just gotta kind of let them rock. But what I again will say is that like there are definitely like fans out there who will get on another manga to defend their manga, and it's to me that's what's weird. I'm like, I don't really even understand that. Like I would never go, you know, oh like you know, seriously, like, man, One Piece stands. That's why, you know, people get on Hunter x Hunter because they One Piece stand. That's dumb. That's like a dumb thing to say. Like, seriously, if you're trolling and you're doing that, that's funny because like it's like you're trolling, and I know you're trolling, and it's like we have a laugh about it, and it's fine. But I think if you're seriously like doing that, it's like nah, I don't know. I think like if you're doing that, like you gotta chill. And I think if you're trying to defend your series, by like getting on another series, in a sense, like that's weird. I don't really get that at all. I think that's not good. That's how I feel about that. So I would never be like, oh, Hunter x Hunter's great, because it's better than One Piece. I'm like, I have feelings about it, but even now I'm just kind of like, I enjoy Hunter x Hunter more than I enjoy One Piece, but that doesn't mean that I think Hunter x Hunter is like objectively better than One Piece or anything like that. I don't think that I don't even know if you could like prove that. I don't think you could, unless you like change like the definition of like what things are objective and what things aren't, right? And then you're just kind of messing with stuff, and it gets messy. All right, so I wouldn't do that. I think I'm done. I think I said what I needed to say. Okay. Because I gotta get out of here. I gotta drink some water. I wanted to do an Alita stream. I don't know. I really want to, but then this thing pissed me off, and I was like, I gotta talk about it. I should have done an Alita stream. Really wanted to react to Battle Angel Alita. And I said I was gonna do it this weekend, and now it's Monday, and I still haven't done it. And it's 10 p.m. I'm like, oh, my throat. Oh, I don't know. I really want to get back to it because I miss it. I really do miss like reading Battle Angel Alita. It's so good. That's the last thing I'm going to leave y'all with for this stream. Read, if you haven't already, if you haven't started reading Battle Angel Alita, read it. Read it. It's so good. I got to react to it. I have a few things that I got to get back to reacting to. I got to get back to reacting to Slam Dunk. I got to get back to reacting to Battle Angel Alita. I got to get back to reacting to Monster, Yona, Yona of the Dawn, Golden Kamui. Like, there are a few manga that I have to get back to reacting to. And I will. Definitely. I got to do that. Okay? So what I'm probably going to do is stack those manga up in like a pile. And then I think what I'll do is like maybe each day I'll try to react to one. And I'll just do that one stream, and that'll be that. And if I can get back to that and figure that out, I think that'd be dope. But I think I still want to sort of keep like weekends for like Battle Angel Alita. But this week I have to get Battle Angel Alita in because I didn't get it in during the weekend because I had my brother's wedding reception, and I had the next day I had a whole bunch of stuff to do. I had work. It was just it was a weekend. It was a weekend. So I'm gonna get back to it. I will. All right. So, yeah, I read what I read, and I like to read what I read. All right. So, thank y'all for coming through. I'm gonna keep working on me. I'm gonna keep working on trying to be a bit more positive in certain ways. I think, I'm gonna keep talking about what I'm talking about. Right? I'm gonna keep doing who's wilding today, and I'm gonna keep doing that stuff and tweeting about the things that I tweet about because like those things are important to me. But I'm gonna try to be more positive. I'm gonna put more pet videos on Twitter, and maybe I'll just set up a stream where I just talk about like the most adorable characters in like a manga or whatever. I don't know. I might start doing stuff like that just to like spread some of that stuff out there. You know what I mean? So thank y'all for coming through, y'all. Shouts to everybody that came through in the chat. Y'all were dope. Y'all were dope tonight. Okay, and just stop with the ridiculous stuff of like calling Takashi lazy, because like that's lazy. That critique is lazy. You know what I mean? It's just it's ironic in that way, right? And it's just wrong. It's just not right. It's not a right thing. It's not wrong. It's not wrong, right? Like, it's more like it's mean. It's a little ignorant. It's a little willfully ignorant. It's like parts willful ignorance, part like you just don't know what's going on in the man's life. So stop doing that. It's ridiculous. Now, if you want to talk about Hunter x Hunter and what's going on in Hunter x Hunter and how you feel about the story and the narrative and the plot and all that and the characters, yo, let's have a combo. That's fine. I'm all up for that. All right. Thank y'all for coming through. I'm the Black Manga Critic, y'all, and you know, gotta defend Tagashi. I always gotta defend this. I always gotta defend like him when it comes to this kind of stuff because it's like people are wilding. All right, I'm out of here.